fellow adventurers. Welcome back to Shore Shack Adventures. Now, where did we leave off last week?
Last time on Shore Shack Adventures, Xander had gone on ahead, while Super, Namina, and Sparkmaster Flash soon followed behind. They quested southward down the road, where the terrain would eventually turn into almost a desert type. The three of them noticed two lizard-like creatures in aerial combat. They observed them for a while and noticed that one was stinging the other repeatedly with its tail. Once they were both on the ground, not far from them, one of these creatures killed the other ones. As Super, Namina, and Sparkmaster Flash hid behind a boulder for their very lives. How would they avoid this terrible beast? Super had the answer. Ice Knife! As he cast the spell into the creature's nose, barely wounding it at all. What proceeded from that point on was a fight for their lives. Namely, Namina's, who was impaled completely with the wyvern's tail, avoiding death only with the quick thinking of Super and Sparkmaster Flash. Sparkmaster using his dragonkin ability to at least slow the creature down and allowing them time to escape. Meanwhile, Xander and Conan had their own small adventure off to the side. They uncovered what appeared to be a broken wagon, and after conversing with one of the woodland creatures, learned of a small creature and a female that had gone on ahead and into the woods. Who were these creatures? Xander was unable to ascertain, as the commotion from the wyvern had interrupted them. And that is where we will pick up tonight's episode of Adventures in Shore Shack.
So Namina, with a quick brush with death, is probably into his head a bit. Xander, on the mountainside, saw some sort of commotion down about. What will happen this week? Let's find out.
I will sharpen my axe on my enemy's face.
Hello, Sonia, my love.
Hey, where's that gold at?
What are we doing here, man?
Jesus, Jehoshaphat! Where did this fucking hat come from?
Come on, Conan. Let's go.
It feels good to be back.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Make surfboards with my bunyip.
Shall I play you a tune?
I don't even care about the gold anymore.
So Xander, as you head up the mountain, tracking your targets that you've heard a little about, the path begins to thin out a bit. The rock crevice and sides of this mountain have less and less vegetation, less and less soil to take the prints. You're going up, and it's tough to continue. Just then, you hear... Strangely, you've got enough elevation that a lightning strike had happened below you, which puts you in a strange euphoria, if you will. Looking back, where the dragon-like creatures have flown over you and crashed to the ground, you see there is a dark, isolated thunderstorm striking the ground just near these dragons. You've been around long enough to know that this could be coincidence, but in the magical world, lightning striking two combating dragons, something could be afoot. I'll leave that to you. Would you like to continue the path? react in some sort of fashion?
Well, I am definitely not anywhere close by.
It's
And
roughly about 2 hours journey if you have good speed and no interruptions.
which is not close enough to get to where they're at. So I think I would be able to put the pieces together that is Super's lightning storm. Because I've seen it before and I've been in the middle of it before, and well, it sucks.
Let's jump back into that memory a bit.
Okay.
How would Xander recall? What's the memory of Super's lightning storm? How would it stick out in his mind? What smells? What feelings?
Well, when I saw that lightning storm, it was in the woods, very dark, and a invisible predator was picking us off one by one. The lightning was very welcome at that point. And, it lit everything up, and it may have even hit him and done some damage. So, yeah, that part of it, it was welcome to see it at that time. I didn't take any damage from it. I was out of the range, but I do know that isolated storm. And
Yeah, I'd say that no intelligence check is needed to remember something so vividly carved into your mind.
And it was only probably 3 to 4 weeks back.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too far back. So not anywhere close to see them, but
Give me a perception check because you have an angle on the situation.
18 plus 5, 23.
So looking over the shock put a certain fight or flight mode in your body to where maybe the blood stopped going to your digestive system and more focus on your keen instincts. And one of those is sight. And as you look down, you could swear you see you don't see individuals per se, but you see the dragon attacking something or aiming at the direction that is not the other dragon. You see a pile behind him, and then him aiming the opposite direction, fighting something down there. You might consider that a confirmation of sorts.
Right.
Looking up at the path, you can still see where you are and how you've gotten this far tracking. And it wasn't an easy task. You've been following these tracks, which go off and on in their prevalence and their depth in this dry climate. You've come this far. What to do?
I was merely just scouting ahead. It wasn't with the intention of doing this all by myself. If I know they're right there, but I can reach them in time. So hopefully they'll figure out a way out of that. But I do want to leave a marker or a sign of a way that they can come, of where I'm at. So what I'm going to do is cast dancing lights as far up in the sky above me as I can. And I'm just going to stay where I'm at and watch that way and just keep the lights going above me. Just do circular lights, and I can also take them and put them into one big human-looking light and then back into 4. I'm just going to use those lights as like a beacon to where I'm at on the hillside.
Sure thing. Roll me a survival check.
Keeping in mind, I just completely forgot that there might be something around me.
Hence the survival check.
And that's a 10.
Okay. You recall that there might be something around you. You have insight into being a little bit further from town and not on a main trail in the middle of a mountain where there are dragon-like creatures, popping a big "I'm here" sign goes up. It's there for a second. You can take it down. You can keep it up. I'll leave that to you.
It doesn't make noise. It does just illuminate. It is 4 o'clock-ish in the afternoon. But at least it is it's quiet. You know, it's not like I'm yelling or blasting on a trumpet or anything. So,
Would you want to blast on a trumpet? I mean, I think you might.
I mean, not right now, no. And
All right.
so,
Well, we'll leave you put there for now.
yeah, I'm
Namina.
I'm gonna put the big one in the air. So.
All right. Next time we come back to you, Xander, you can think about how long you wanted that up there, if you wanted it the whole time, and we can roll appropriately. Namina, flash forward. Oh, dragon attack. And then you kind of come back, super grabbing your leg, pulling you back, not very quickly, as he is not very large, but you gain conscious and run back behind the rock. This dragon, you push into a grassy flat after casting a number of different things as a party on this creature, grabbing its legs with vines, plants growing up around it, it trying to rip out of the ground to come and finish you all. But it pulls itself back with a dazed and confused look as to why such small creatures put up such a valiant opposition. You all get into a grass trough that comes to about 4.5 feet tall. So you're hunched over, but you have life. And that is something that was not guaranteed. And you realize it.
Yeah.
Looking down at Super, he is tall and proud, like he just finished a dragon. What is it that you do in that moment? You guys are there for about, I'd say, roughly 20 minutes before where we left off last time. Trying to keep quiet, trying to figure out what can you do to get out of this area. Once you leave this grass flat, it's wide open. And that dragon creature is still there.
Well, I think that right now I would try to listen intently to see if it's around or if it's in fact eating. If it's eating, then I'll probably try to stealth my way out of this kind of situation and see if I can find a way out and around, because I'm kind of pissed off right now. I'm kind of pissed. Like, after collecting my thoughts for the short time that we have, my life almost ended because of a 3'6" druid. So I'm kind of mad right now, and I think I'm going to attempt to stealth my way out of everyone around me and try to just go off on my own for a little bit. Honestly, I need some time to myself. I need some time to meditate. I need some time to rethink my life choices as of right now and what I'm exactly doing.
Sure.
So,
roll me a perception check. just as your conscious asks you, how long have you known these comrades of yours?
I rolled an 8.
Okay. With your 8, you have to go up next to the rock in order to, or toward the rock, and you stay within its shadow. And as you're in the open to some degree, but as you get closer, you can hear the sound of chomping, and more specifically, the sound of a tongue just lapping up whatever juices that this creature has created.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast. I'm going to cast Pass Without a Trace on myself,
All right.
and I'm going to leave my party as of right now, and I'm going to find a place on my own so that I don't have to. I don't want to talk to them right now. I don't want them to stop me. I just want to go. So, and I'm going to try to stealth my way away from them and try to find a quiet place for me to relax.
Okay. Well, first, what direction do you go?
Away from the dragon, and
There's a mountainscape to the south of you. That was the direction you were originally heading. The town of Ironton is directly north of you. There is a river to the east, a considerable way that you know is there, though you have no view of it. To the west side, it's more of a high plains. You can see some elevation coming down from the mountains that you'd have to go up in a way, but you don't see a lot of woodlands or anything over there. It seems rather desolate.
well, if I could find that river, sounds really tempting.
You also know that there are several grass patches in your journey so far. Anywhere there is a lull in the contours of the ground, it seems that these brown grass patches crop up. So you could navigate whatever open plains desert area you're in using those, assuming a high enough stealth roll.
Uh-huh. Well, I hope with Pass Without a Trace, I'm at least guaranteed something nice. But, so I think that I'm going to head towards where we were originally heading. But of course, just trying to make it so that they don't see me and that I go on my own.
Okay. Go ahead and roll with your Pass Without a Trace. And let's see how you move. And you can describe it to us and jump into your head a little bit.
So that'll be a 27.
Okay. Describe how you escape out of there and how you move. And then just go ahead and get into what you're thinking at that moment. The big question I'd like to put on your conscious, as I'm sure it would be there, is how long have you met this party? What all have you been through so far?
Well, the biggest thing that's right now going through Namina's mind is he's used to fighting people, humanoid figures, not monsters. And the past 2 encounters that he's had has been with monsters, and both times he has been horrendously wounded. And it's really reevaluating who he is as a person and what his strengths are, and he feels like he's getting into a territory that he's not strong in. And reevaluating, he has history with Sparkmaster, at least longer than the rest of the party. So he has built a kinship of sorts with Sparkmaster, and I respect Sparkmaster, but I realized at this recent encounter that my party is reckless and I'm the one taking a lot of the hits for it. And right now I need to reevaluate who I'm with, what I'm doing, and how I will progress further if I'm going to be using them to get to Alabast or trying to form a kinship with them and making it a little less unbearable to do. Because I do need at least help getting to Alabast. I know that I can't do it on my own. I mean, I probably could stealth my way there, but it would definitely make it easier in case I were to run into a dragon, a swamp monster, things that I'm not proficient in fighting, I would think. So, and how I escape from them is honestly, I feel like the best way to do it would be right under their noses. Is just move at a pace where they don't even notice that I'm moving. So, or maybe I catch both Soomper and Sparkmaster just really deep in thought, and I recognize that and I leave then.
You're able to dip out as Super is actually still chest pumped, still just jacked, kind of bragging about his victory and how close that was. And thank goodness nobody got hurt, you know, with Sparkmaster.
Namina bites his tongue. I bite my tongue so hard.
You're able to dip out, and just the sense that you were able to do so easily unnoticed also rubs you the wrong way. Of course. You make your way through, and without much issue, you find another grass trough. This one a little bit more elongated. You hop from grass trough to grass trough without too much of an issue. You are weary, though, knowing that you are a black cat amongst yellow grass, that when you are running above the desert, you stick out like a sore thumb. But you're able to walk in shadows where they exist and even crawl under grass, even if it's short, just based on your frame and how you move. While you're walking, you know, you leverage your memories of Totem Bowman back at the monastery and his connection with nature, leveraging this very new atmosphere, this new landscape in such a way that you think would make him proud. Every once in a while you see a small cactus and you remember stories of him talking about being able to eat those and garden those, though where the monastery was, it wasn't the time or the place to garden cactus. You still hear stories and you remember the stories of that. Is it very often that you remember things that far back, going through all that you've been through?
Is it common?
Yeah.
I think that out of everything from the monastery, Totem is one of the people that I do think about the most. And remembering his love for nature and his amazing teachings really reminds me to self-evaluate myself on a constant basis and realize where I'm at, realize my emotions, and keep them under control. And Totem is one of the people that I do think about quite often.
Your close brush with death, and you can let us know if this is the closest you've ever had or if you've been in some sticky situations. But when you're thinking about Totem and if what you're doing is right and or at least approved in a way, how close was this near-death experience to anything you've experienced in the human-to-human combatant scene?
When it comes up to the human-human combatant scene, I've only really haven't had a huge struggle, so to speak. I've had, my fair share of getting my butt beat, just as underestimating my opponent and underestimating my skills. It does happen, and that's just a part of life. And there's always someone better than you, and being humble with yourself and knowing what you are and how you can be confident in yourself, but also not a jerk about it. But when it comes up to death, this is the closest. And, because most of the time humans are, blunt force trauma or tiny sharp knives, not a spear through my gut.
You keep looking down like where the hole was, and like it's scar tissue now. Like it didn't just heal over.
Yeah, it's a pink patch.
Yeah. Jumping into those memories, and I don't want you to explain too much of maybe the story behind it, but in your more recent line of work, think about a moment that was probably the closest to this, and give us a little cinematic of what that looked like from your point of view, from your eyes, not really from a third person perspective, but what does that memory look like just thinking back to it? I'm sure in your new line of work, there was some moment that at least was dicey.
I specifically remember going through very, very nice red velvet curtains, unlatching a window, going through, and the objective was there. It was right in front of me, and it was in my sights. And to survey my surroundings, I looked to my left, and a fist is right there. Clocks me right in the head. I scramble, grab what I need, and leave. And I get hit on the way out. And not by a fist, but by a sword. And it sliced straight down my back. That was probably one of my more scarier situations. I underestimated my opponent. I underestimated my job.
There's an odd similarity both in the pain felt as well as the scars left that you'll probably be carrying for a while.
Yeah.
All right, Xander, my good friend, with your 23 perception and your light bulb above your head, you do catch glimmer of a dark object moving about. Not going directly toward you, but more to the east, toward where you can see to be still in your general direction, and you can put the map up if you'd like. You're on the mountainside, and he's navigating directly south, closer to a river and a giant lake that's at the base of the mountains, about a day and a half's journey or a day's journey from where you are now. He's not set to intersect you by any means. He's actually kind of going back and forth, zigzagging his way to a mountain pass, not the one that you had encountered. There's only one. What is it you're thinking about? And then what do you do?
All right. Well,
He is going directly south, while you are the green dot a little to the east. And you can zoom in on that if you'd like.
Is this the Ironton map with the Mithril Peak on it?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's take a look at it here. This one right here?
Correctamundo. And guys are about, if you zoom in there.
So I'm this green dot right here.
You are indeed.
Then he is here.
That battle took place in the pink dot, and he is moving directly south.
So he's more down here.
Yep.
Still a couple hours away.
Yeah. I'd say about an hour and a half. You just caught him moving.
Okay. All right. So we were at 4 o'clock. What time would it be now?
I'd say about 4 o'clock your time.
So it's still 4 o'clock. I can just see him kind of
Yep.
see a little black image scooting from spot to spot.
Yep. And he is a jet black.
So he stands out a little bit.
A little bit.
Um,
You might have thought it was a dog or something at first, but the way he moves is more humanoid than that.
all right. So all right. So I am going to do.
First off, who's with you up on this mountainside? Did you bring the steed?
Yes, the steed was there. I had tied it off right before we went up and found the wagon.
Okay, so he is down at kind of the base of the mountain.
So how far up did I go to find that wagon? I thought it was like right off of a trail.
Yeah, that was at the base of the mountain. So when we left off, you were tracking a trail, kind of a side trail from that point. That kind of puts you a little higher. If you would have followed or pursued the two creatures that your gerbil friend, your ginormous gerbil friend, had
That was like a raccoon, but
pointed to, yeah. I guess it's up to you how high you've gone since the conversation. Were you going up the mountain, or were you going to camp out there and wait for the party?
well, I'm kind of where I'm at, and I don't want to lose my horse either.
Yeah. How far would you have left your horse, or would you have tried to bring him up a rather steep mountain pass? So where we left off last time, you were there and you got pointed to a trail. Looking up, it's like a small trail that's skirting up the side of the mountain and then zigzagging every once in a while. And then eventually it got so high that you lost track of it from where you were standing at the base.
Okay.
And so I imagined you kind of started following that, leaving your horse, but I don't think we discussed that. So let's jump into that. What would you have done if you saw that trail? And it did curl around a giant rock up there, probably about 800 feet, maybe 1,000 feet up. It curled around a rock, so you weren't able to follow that trail any further with your eyes.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't have abandoned my horse because who's not going to bring a horse? So, I'd follow up as far as I could and felt safe with, investigating the tracks or whatever. But then once I saw the storm and everything, I would start making my way back down because that is going to be priority over following whatever this was.
Okay, so let's say you got up probably that 1,000 feet up to that rock, and you notice the trail curve around, and then instead of going up the mountain, it just continues around the other side of the mountain. That is as far as you've gotten until you saw the thunderstorm come down. The trail there's a little bit of a plateau where you are, luckily, where that rock is and that boulder, that you could probably turn your horse around. But the trail otherwise is about the narrowness that it would be daunting to try to turn your horse around on the side of it, put it that way.
Okay. All right. So from where I'm at right now, there's trees or whatever that I could tie him off to.
There are small shrubs, no trees.
Okay. Enough to wrap a rein around.
Correct.
Okay. So what I'll do at this point, especially since I can see him darting from shrub or from grassy knoll to grassy knoll or pit.
Oh, Knowles, that's a great idea.
Hold up.
Yeah, they're grassy knolls.
They're mossy knolls.
I'm going to take my trusty steed, which does not have a name because it's a loner, and
That's its name,
tie
Loner.
him off on a shrub. That's his name, Loner. And I'm going to ritual cast my tiny hut around myself and Conan and the horse.
Okay.
And once it's up, I'm going to shade it so that it looks like a boulder. But then I will, I'm going to continue to watch where Namina's at, and I'm going to keep the lights circling above
Okay.
where I'm at.
Can you do that? Can you cast a ritual spell and keep concentration on dancing lights?
Dancing Lights is a cantrip.
Oh, I thought I had concentration on it.
No,
It's concentration, yeah.
but he can keep casting it. He can.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he can just cast it again after he's done with Tiny Hut. Okay.
You haven't noticed by now that as you've been walking with Xander, it's all just disco balls just all around him, and they move as he grooves. You know.
And boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants.
I don't have either.
Only a little bit of his music is actually the lute. It's all the show, you know. Okay, Namina, jumping back to you as you're coming close, you are to a point where you do see in the distance a bit of lake or a lack of brush and a reflection of the sky, about a day's journey to what looks like the dangerous mountain pass that was alluded to up in Ironton. Give me a perception roll.
Alright.
Actually, just jump into. Give me a perception roll first. Let's do that.
Okie dokie. That'll be a total of 22.
You're feline, that's for sure. Go into what your thought, where you're going, what you're considering.
Right now, my thought process is I want to find a tree, sit in it, and just meditate in that tree, because I'm pretty sure that trees are pretty. At least I hope that they're not animated and they won't try to kill me and be a monster and try to kill me. But I want to just go into a tree, climb to a branch, and just sit comfortably and meditate. Meditate and think about the past couple weeks, days or weeks. So
as you're moving down south from grass patch to grass patch, the desire to find a tree grows stronger, though there aren't trees anywhere in this environment. You continue moving forward, and the desire goes stronger and stronger with you, and eventually you do find one. It pulls you a little off track, a little to the west of where you were kind of going. But the tree in the distance is large enough that this flat ground and traversing it, you're over it. You're much better in the woods where you grew up. You're a much better fighter in the woods where you grew up.
yeah.
You have a lot more experience. This open plain that grows contrast to you and you stick out like a sore thumb. 6 your cat hairs up on end. You're able to move for the next hour and a half. And finally, come coming closer and closer to this tree. You're looking up. Xander, you have watched this. Oh, no, wait a second. Namina.
Me.
Yes, you look up, and you looking at the tree. Something catches your eye to the left, and you see some glow movement or something. You can't entirely see. What color is your dancing lights there, Xander?
As of right now, they were just yellow lantern light.
All right. As you look up, Namina, it's tough to see what's moving because the backdrop is this dark desert, kind of maybe more reddish. But you can tell something's moving, and every once in a while, it goes outside of the mountain silhouette behind it, and you get that sky, and you can see a light. That catches your attention.
Okay.
Xander, you don't know Namina sees your light, but you do see Namina getting closer and closer, going up to a tree.
All right. So he will take out his flute because he left his lute behind. And he will just do two notes, two high-pitched notes, almost like a bird. Just waddle them back and forth. And just do a few quick successions of shrill notes.
Now, Xander, what would that sound like to Namina?
Well, I don't have anything pulled up, but it would be a,
That was actually way better than I thought. Who knows? Namina, back to you.
I hear this, I'm guessing.
Very faintly, as you concentrate on the lights, trying to figure out what they are.
I don't think that the lights would really bother me right now, and the noise. I'd look at the lights, and I'd hear the noise, and I'd probably think it's nothing I want to deal with right now. Because as of right now, I'm in pain. I'm still hurting all over my body. All I want to do is get it to a safe-ish place and relax, and I don't know what that is. I mean, it could be a bird, and those lights could just be really weird metallic ore that's just shining out of the mountain. I don't care.
Let's put your attention to the tree in front of you then, if that's your goal.
Mm-hmm. Is it a relatively bigger than normal tree? Is it just...
It is the biggest tree you've seen for hours. Yes, I would say it's probably 4 stories. There are bigger trees up the mountain, but this is a big one, and probably the only one in this area on solid ground, which is why it's gotten so large.
What kind of tree is it? Is it like a pine kind of tree, or is it like a leafy tree? What kind of tree are we talking about here?
Leafy.
It's leafy? Oh, yes. So he disregards the noises and disregards the lights and focuses attention on the tree, and he just starts climbing. And he just gets his way all the way up there, and he wants to find a good solid branch to just sit on and, I'll hide myself from, the outside world for right now and be in the tree. And actually, I think at this point, I feel like a reason why the tree would call to him is part of maybe a way to, at least as he's sitting there, he probably would reminisce about his father too.
Mm-hmm.
And he might even fondle his woodcarver's tools and just hold them in his hand, or maybe even use them while he's there. Just kind of reminiscing about times past. But definitely would go up into the tree and find a good place to sit and just take a big, deep breath and just exhale.
Kind of milking the silence a little bit.
Exactly.
As you get up, you feel a level of comfort. And you're able to sit there for long enough, I would consider it a short rest. Going through your mind, dealing with the issues, taking the weight off your back. Up in a tree where you feel rather comfortable.
Mm-hmm. I think during this time, actually, never mind. No, I'm not. I'm good.
Xander, it seems Namina has not seen your display. Though when you're looking out, you do notice the dragon creature that was there has almost crouched to the ground a little bit, almost gone prone, but then is moving in a really strange way. Moving back and forth. Seems like it's trying to dive under something. It's hard to tell what or why it's doing. It just looks incredibly strange. As it's staying low to the ground, going back and forth, kind of like this.
Does it seem to be following the same path that Namina had taken?
Yeah, you think that at first, and you watch, and it seems to be just zigzagging back and forth. Maybe, in a way, it's kind of running its body through those grass divots that you saw Namina going back and forth on, but it's not traveling the same trail. It's not until then that you look up. With your exceptional roll, you see a glimmer of shine. And it's not the same creature by any means, but something flying up with a crystalline white color. Give me a perception check.
Mm-hmm. 14.
The 14, it's tough to make out with the clouds going over. And you think it's almost your imagination at first, except for this dragon creature on the ground, how it's acting. You keep an eye on that cloud, waiting for something to come out of it. And a small, faint white figure goes to the right. And you can see it clear as day with the blue backdrop of the sky. The dragon on the ground seems to be very fearful of whatever this is flying up there. With the 14, can't tell the size. Can't tell exactly what it is, how many legs it might have. But you keep your eye on it as it flies over, circles around, and then disappears over the mountain that you're climbing.
Okay. So was I able to follow as to whether Namina is coming my way?
Namina is about 30 minutes west of the trail that you were on.
And the time would probably be what, close to 6 o'clock ish, 6:30?
Yep. I'd say about 6:30 now. And Namina, this is just as you jumped into the tree, but you've been up there for at least as long as it takes Xander to get down if he does decide to do that. but he's got a lot of luggage.
So, all right. So I'm still at an elevation to where he's at. Still got some lights going up above me. I'm going to bring the 4 lights together, and
Yeah.
I combine them into one like humanoid looking light.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep that 120 feet, but I'm going to push it like out, not like directly above me, but kind of out over the mountainside.
Mm-hmm.
And then rather than making fluttering sounds, I'm just gonna start playing.
4 squirrels come up to your rock and start looking at each other in confusion, trying to push against this big boulder that wasn't there before. You get lost in your music quite a bit. While you're playing, you look down at the rest of the party where they were, and something happens. What it is, we don't know on this episode until they do it. But something happens from now on.
So I'm just going to sit there and play and try to play as loud as I can, so that he can at least hear me.
What thoughts are running through your head? What's fueling the passion of this loud song you're jamming?
Well, it's
Think about why you're here. What the purpose is of you have time to think, time to.
well, I mean, we're not close to where our destination is. We're still just on a traveler's road right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really in a stealth mode yet. We're just really not even that far from Ironton. We're still less than a day's travel. We spent a lot more time going through that swamp than we did, from just this one day. So, it's more of, hey, we need to realize that this is where I'm at, and we all need to meet back up. I don't have any way yet to communicate to get your attention other than I'm not sure why you're down there, but you need to be up here.
Yeah. So while that's happening, I mean, you've been sitting there for 3 hours almost now. Your mind's obviously going to drift to something. What does it drift to? What does Xander think about in that? Or is it just very anxious, I guess, rather, and have a focused anxiety?
Well, as of right now, I am very anxious because he doesn't have Sonia with him. He has loaned her out, but which typically he would not do.
So you got to pay your bills,
But it's like having your loved one who is who's ill.
Mm-hmm.
You have to trust a doctor who knows more than you for a treatment. So Julio or Pablo knows more about this sort of magic than I do. So he's going to have to examine her. He's going to have to he's going to have to touch her and hold her. So that bothers him. But he's it's the only way that he that I can hopefully help her. And that bothers him. So he doesn't like that, he's playing a flute and he's not playing his lute. He doesn't like that when he's playing now, he's just hearing a flute. He's not hearing an orchestra. That bothers him. He's not as good as he's still good, but he's not as good as he was. And he has an understanding of why this was made, why the lute was created. Yeah, it's definitely an advantage giver.
Mm-hmm. And you get the feeling like you're playing by yourself. When with the lute, you get a strong feeling that you are not playing by yourself, that there's somebody else there playing with you.
And he's been playing that for years. And he's had that connection with every time he's played of something else being there.
Mm-hmm.
And right now he's just playing for his horse and Conan. Although Conan doesn't mind.
Mm-hmm. Conan, if he was fighting for your attention, has a smile of "I won," on it, but also a smile of "aw," like I hate to see Xander like this. All right, Namina, as you're sitting there in the tree, lost in thought, you almost start to snooze away, but your balance is fine in a tree. Two squirrels come up and nipping at your goods, but looking more curious than anything. Hanging around gives you a good feeling. This is, as far as you know, not a dangerous or life-threatening creature. As far as you know.
Don't do this to me, man.
And then Super runs up with his magic wand.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Super is the last thing I want to see right now.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I think if we have nothing else, I think we'll hold it there. Maybe do a break. Yeah, let's toss it to our sponsors.
Okie dokie.
All right, I'll give it a few minutes. And we're back.
We're back. Looking at Facebook on live. Crazy.
No, that was Messenger.
It's the same thing.
Well, whatever.
What's Messenger powered by?
Facebook.
Hey.
Making my way. All right.
Make my way.
So, as the DM, I do have the power to fast forward. So, I will ask you, Namina, being in a tree, how long does it take for the blood to start flowing and to feel that rest or the anxiety that comes about you when you sit too long and suddenly you start looking around for things to do?
I think that with this particular situation, I wouldn't come to that point. I think that I would, in fact, just relish in a peaceful aftermath, a peaceful life. I still have mine. So, and I never want to hear the words ice knife ever again.
Just
That is-
then, you hear a familiar voice of a party walking by, and Super going, "Oh, ice knife, ice knife." No, I don't know if he's going to say that, but
Oh boy. Oh boy.
after about 4 hours, what I can say you would see is you probably caught a glimpse of the white flying creature.
Hmm.
In your boredom and self-reflection, eventually your attention does go elsewhere, whether you're going to act on anything or not. You do become more perceptive. So you would see the white flying creature. You would also eventually see the party traveling down a trail that's a little bit more easterly of you.
Hmm.
A better, and from the angle in the tree, a much better carved trail than the one that you took.
Okay.
They're far from getting necessarily near you or at you, but you can see and perceive them.
Hmm. I feel like after a lot of
You do see a boat on the river and the lake down south of you. You can tell by the sail. And to the west of you, you do see more woodlands that kind of approach the edge of these mountains. You're not high enough to see over that high plains area. But you also notice plenty of gazelle-like creatures that blend in tremendously with that brown grass as they hop around. It's only staring at the brown grass and thought that after a while you do see them bouncing around. Their horns on their heads sticking straight up blend tremendously well into the dead portions of that brown grass. Various critters around, living in the same tree that you're actually in right now.
Mhm. I feel like after a point where I feel like I've collected myself, at least to a degree, I figured out what I want to do. I would climb to the top of the tree and kind of, I don't feel like I really paid attention to a lot of my surroundings getting to this point
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I was dead focused on a goal. And I would want to survey my surroundings and look really, really deeply at the surrounding area and see what I could see. So
Crawling up, you you were looking generally toward the direction of Ironton as you were sitting there. But climbing up, you're looking all around. You can see there are quite a few game trails going up and down the mountains, generally zigzagging. There are caves of various sorts in the mountains. How deep they are, they might only be 1.5 feet. There's no way to tell from where you are, but there are openings that trails seem to end in, scattered about. You count right off the bat probably 8 different ones. The rock itself on this mountain is rather like a dusty sand brown kind of color. While also when you're up there, looking toward that water, the other mountain range has a much more rock feel to it. Imagine like dark gray boulders. There's crows and ravens flying around, as well as a number of buzzards that you see circling various locations you expected to be a corpse of some sort. Or just following the wind patterns as they rush through and push up this mountain. A lot of times, you remember Totem Pullman talking about birds will use those for lift. And you can actually watch and kind of see that happen as birds fly down and then just kind of get pulled upwards, using it as an elevator of sorts. Roll me a perception check. And how long are you going to be out there doing this?
I probably just would want to get like you were saying, like a general survey of my surroundings and try to find anything that really stands out. If I did notice the party walk by, I would be completely silent. But as of right now, I probably wouldn't do it very long. Probably maybe 5 minutes tops. And I got a total of, that was perception, right? Yeah, 11.
Okay. I think what I might end up doing is writing you up things that you see.
Okay.
Because things definitely happen in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And you're being up there for about 4 hours or so, at least, you will definitely get a sense of some things going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have
It's
to,
getting dark.
yeah, I'll have to take a moment to think about how that plays. But it's right. It's getting dark. Are you going to nap there for the evening?
That is my goal. If I would probably do a really good once over and try to see if I can make sure that I'm pretty well hidden.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I am. Yeah, I think that I'm pretty well hidden from everything.
It's dark. Can you see the light?
Oh, he definitely sees your light and definitely knows it's there. You also notice as you're kind of getting ready to bed down, a very large tree snake starts to go up the tree that you're making your camp in. Do you want to do anything about that, or just
Can I ascertain whether it's venomous or not?
give me a nature roll of 16 or higher?
Nature? No. Hey, that's 16!
Nice! It is not venomous.
Woo! And how long do you think it
It's
is?
a constrictor. It's about, I'd say about 4 feet long.
That's not bad.
No.
I'd probably pick it up and put it down off the tree
Okay.
and then go back up into the tree.
Okay. Yeah. Give me an animal handling check.
Oh, yay. I forgot those things.
Yeah.
We got
Are
a 13.
you handling?
Yeah. 13 is fine. You're able to move it. He had already eaten. You can see a lump in his belly.
Mm.
You put him back down, and he just.
After noticing that he ate, I probably would have just left him there.
Yeah. He was. You put him down, and he immediately goes, kind of like ignoring that you did that, and immediately goes back to the tree. And you have to put him down 3 or 4 times until he gets annoyed and decides to go elsewhere.
Okay.
crawling back into the tree, you do notice the dancing lights over in the mountainside, in the twilight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And at that point, I could say you could ascertain that it's some magic happening.
Mm-hmm.
If it's friendly magic or not, you're not quite sure. But you have heard a nice lullaby that does not sound familiar because it's not in a lute, but some flutist is fluting near the light. So
I don't think that I know that Xander even has a flute. So
you are able to make yourself at home in that tree and fall asleep pretty easily.
Cool.
Now, what is it that you dream about?
It probably would be just
Ooh, I need a D20. Fuck. Keep going.
okay. I think that in the beginning, it's just kind of flashes of the previous battle, and with the main one being where he's lifted off the ground and sees a spear oozing poison out of that spine that just pierced his chest, and then it goes back, and then the scene would change, and he would see Totem sitting there, helping him up, asking him, are you at peace with your anger? And then it would change again, and I would see the Ascended standing over me with the ritual blade in his hand, dubbing me a part of his syndicate. And then I would see my family, my brother, saying, "Don't leave me again." And that would ring for the rest of the night. Don't leave me again. Don't leave me again. Don't leave
Your
me.
eyes bolt open in the middle of the night. A lightning storm to the northwest. Thinking, what are you doing here? Crosses your mind. Like, is this where you need to be? Why are you here?
And that storm, I pay close attention to the storm. Just the sounds of the storm, sounds of the nature. Trying to take after Totem for a little bit here, with his respect for nature. And I kind of, after seeing him in my dream, I feel like this might be some weird way of communicating with me, and I just listen to the storm. And the biggest thing that I come to the conclusion of is I feel like I might have found my family, and that's my big goal right now, is finding my family. And my objective with my group is a big part of was the main reason why I'm here, but it's changed, and I have different objectives now, and if I can complete it, I will. But right now, I feel like I'm missing my family more than anything right now, and I'm missing that kinship that I've been longing for basically my whole life, or more than half my life. I'll say that.
As you're looking into that storm and you have these thoughts, it almost seems to be triggered that you finally put your finger on that after this disarray, a little bit of anger and emotion and Totem and your goals and yada yada. Suddenly the focus kind of comes back and you hear the storm seemingly in some sort of response to you, whether that's real or in your head, who knows? But it seems to be aligned.
And I don't say this to anyone in particular, but I look at the storm and say thank you. And then I try to drift back to sleep.
And without issue, in a peaceful heart, you're able to go back to sleep, be reminded that you do have a goal in life. You do have a purpose, and it's closer than it's ever been. And that's where we'll end tonight's episode of Short Shack Adventures.
Oh boy.
All right. So we'll see you next time.
We sure will. And thank you for joining. Welcome to the party, and I hope you continue. And another one, back to the sponsors and stuff.
Or we just end.
Yep. If you want to be a sponsor, sign up in our private chat over here.
We have tons of sponsors lining up if you want to get our,
We
get your
do.
name.
It's going fast. We
It's a
only
ground level kind of thing. Yeah. Get in on the ground floor.
we only have 3-minute slots and only one per episode.
They're going fast. We draw them out of a hat.
All right. See you next.